So little Johnny and his family were invited to have Easter Sunday lunch at his grandmother's house. And everyone was seated around the table as the food was being served. When little Johnny received his plate, he started eating right away. And his father yelled, "Johnny, Johnny, wait until we say grace." And little Johnny says, "Well, Dad, it's okay. We don't have to say grace," the little 5-year-of-age said. "Of course we got to say grace," his mother replied so forcibly. "Johnny, you know we always say a prayer before we eat at our house." But little Johnny says, "But Mom, that's at our house. But here at Grandma's house, it's okay because she knows how to cook." I don't know how it applies, but I figured that we might want to share it today. But anyway, it's Easter, just in case you did not know. And it's really good to celebrate this very special day in the life of our community. Easter has always been a very special time. And growing up, it was as significant and as special as Christmas. For Easter suggested that there was something new, some wonderful things coming, that we always received new clothes, and I know maybe that wasn't everyone's experience. We got something new to wear. I think I hunted Easter eggs until I turned, I won't say how old. I was at least in my teens, because I don't know what we do now, and I know we have a lot of eggs we're going to hide today, but we used to have the golden eggs. How many of you remember that? And in that egg, that egg used to be huge. It was like a huge golden egg, and it was stuffed with money. And so we always loved to get that egg. So there was something about Easter. Not only was there a wonderful gifts coming our way, there was this level of excitement. The community always gathered together, assembled in unity and love and harmony and great anticipation. And in my context in growing up, it was a very wonderful celebration time. Yet we understand that Easter is so much more than the Easter eggs and the Easter bunnies and the Easter outfits. And maybe a few of you used to give the Easter speeches. I remember mine. Jesus rode on Easter Day, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. The angels rolled the stone away, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I think I was 5 when I first gave that speech. So we know that Easter is about moving from the tombs of life, friends. Easter is truly about moving from the tombs of life and the tombs in our very own mind into a new way of living, being, and expressing. The Easter celebration and Easter narrative is about divine mastery. That's what this day is about for us as students of a truth, and those of us who consider ourselves to be metaphysicians. Easter is about divine mastery. For the past 40 plus days, we have been working on the self. We have been giving ourselves time and reflection. How many of you really did that? You looked at yourself. And those of you who did that, you really engaged Lent. Every mystic and every soul that seeks to overcome and to be resurrected must go through the Lenten experience and must have a Golgotha experience. In order for us to know that and see our strength and to know how much strength we have and how powerful we really are, at times we have to put that power to test. How many of you have been tested lately? So Easter calls us to divine mastery. It's an inward journey that includes 9 core qualities: character, courage, commitment, discipline. I'll say that one again. Discipline, faith, peace of mind, perseverance, worthy goals and ideals, and most importantly, love. Divine mastery includes all 9 of these qualities. As we consider the Easter idea,
I'm reminded of Albert Einstein's words. He says, make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. So in making Easter as simple as possible, I would, in light of the message, a message for all nations, He lives in you, I would like to just recall the passage from John chapter 20. It says, Mary Magdalene was standing outside the tomb crying. And as she wept, she stooped and looked in. She saw two white-robed angels, one sitting at the head, one at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. Dear woman, why are you crying? The angels asked her. Because they have taken away my Lord, she replied, and I don't know where they have put him. She then turned to leave and saw someone standing there. It was Jesus, but she did not recognize him. Dear woman, why are you crying? Jesus asked her. Who are you looking for? She thought he was the gardener. Sir, she replied, if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go and get him. Mary, Jesus replied. And to his voice, she turned herself. And when she turned herself, she saw him. She said, Rabbi. He says, but don't touch me. Cling not to me. For I have not yet ascended to my Father. Go and tell my brothers and my sisters, my followers, that I am now ascending to my Father, your Father. I am ascending to my God, your God. Go share this message. And Mary runs off to share with the disciples the good news, the gospel of Easter. Friends, this is Easter in a nutshell. It is that what Howard Thurman calls that creative encounter. That creative encounter, Howard Thurman, the great mystic, a creative encounter with the divine, with God, with the great architect of the universe. In my Cherokee tradition, it is called the great-grandfather spirit. And when we have this kind of encounter with the great-grandfather spirit, our life can never be the same again. It's just like the saying, the person who says that once the mind has been stretched by a new idea, it can never return to its original dimension. Once we truly encountered the divine, our life will be changed forever. Mary ran and told the news. And I'll pause right here. She was the first evangelist. And those who think that women should not be ministers need to learn their Bible. She was the first preacher, the first teacher, the first evangelist that carried the good news. Women are always leading this thing, and thank God for women. This is no disrespect, men. We all came from one. She carried the news. The boys were all hiding out, scared that they might be caught there around the tomb. But he told them, yes, I might, I'll lay it down. But if I lay it down, I'll pick it up again. Can't no man take my life, because no man can give me life. The body you might harm, but the spirit you can't touch. Because the spirit is of the great-grandfather spirit. It is of God. It can't be tempered. It can't be hurt by your words, your thoughts, your actions, or your deeds. But the body, the flesh, that mortal part of me can. He told them that I'm going to get up again. Mary believed the word. You see, that's what happens. When we have this creative encounter with the divine, we believe the word of God. We believe when Spirit says you can, when something everyone tells you that you can. The Spirit says you are healed and whole right now, and when the diagnosis says you're sick, you are prospered in every way. That's when we heed the word of truth. Mary went searching. She was having what we call spiritual discontent. Like many, running from church to chapel and service to this and this faith and this one, looking, running from this guru to this teacher, this book to this book, this show to this, looking. She went to the empty tomb looking for him, looking for God. And when she got there, still fixed on the empty tomb, that situation in life that is now empty, it's past. It happened 30 years ago, but still looking at it. This experience happened 20 years ago, but we're still looking at it. That's the empty tomb. They said it to me 15 years ago, and every time I think about it, I get so angry, just as I did when I first. That's still looking at the empty tomb. It says when she turned away from the empty tomb and turned and looked, she experienced him. The only way that we can have what Howard Thurman calls the creative encounter with God, where Easter really becomes more than just a new outfit, another message, another hunted egg, or an Easter bunny, that we have to look away from the tombs of life, look away from that pain, that thing that's been causing you distress, chaos, and stress, and having you all depressed. Look away from it. Lift your eyes up and above to the hills from whence cometh all of our help, and we'll find that we're already in the presence, and that presence is within us. When she turned herself, she realized that he had always been there. Isn't it something? Have you ever prayed and you asked God for help, and God sent you help, but it took a form that you didn't recognize? Have you ever had that to happen? It didn't show up in the way that you anticipated. God, help me out here. Give me a break. Send me somebody. And God sends you an angel in disguise, but you didn't recognize it. You ever had that to happen? And because you didn't recognize it, you missed it. So Easter calls us to step away from the tomb. And I just feel that maybe there are those in here who silently suffering in the tombs of life. See, the stone in front of the tomb is the crystallized thought and feeling that we put as an obstruction, as a distraction, as a blockage between us and our greater good. I put the stone in front of my tomb. And if the stone is going to be removed, I must remove it. So the good news calls us to step away today. Now fix our eyes on the truth of God. Then begin to realize, she went looking. There's another passage that says, why are you seeking the living amongst the dead? She went looking for the divine outside of herself and didn't realize that he was already in her midst. God is within, friends. How do you know he lives? I probably shared this with you before. The conversation between the physician and the minister. Did I tell you that before? If you've heard it, just act like you've heard it. This is your first time hearing it. The doctor tells the preacher, asks the preacher, how do you know that God lives, that God is real, that God is alive? Can you see God? And the minister replies, No, not in a way that I can justify. And he asked, well, can you smell God? The minister says, well, no, not in a way that I can really justify. Can you touch God? The minister says, no, not in a way that I can really justify. And the physician says, I have proven my case, minister. God does not exist. And as he was leaving, he began to feel perplexed because he knew within his heart and soul that God lived, that God is real. And there in that moment, he asked for inspiration. And you know, when you ask for inspiration, you'll get inspiration, friends. If you ask, you will receive. If you seek, you'll find. So he asked, God, give me something that I can say. Then all of a sudden, inspiration got a hold of him. And he says, wait a minute, doctor. How do you know pain is real? Can you see pain? And the doctor says, no, I can't see pain. Can you hear pain? The doctor says, no, I can't hear pain. Can you smell pain? The doctor says, no, I can't smell pain. Then he says, how do you know that pain is real? The doctor says, because I can feel pain. He says, that's just it. I know that he lives because I can feel him. I can feel him in my heart, in my soul. Friends, I want you to know today, he lives. He lives. He lives in you and he lives within me. This is our Easter message. Let it lift you and resurrect you and cause you to see as God sees today. God bless you.